The stars looked different through the bridge windows of the starbound Legacy. Commander Jake Martinez had seen many star fields in his 20 years of space travel, but nothing like this. The ship had been flying for 8 months, farther from Earth than any human had ever gone before. Today was the day they would meet aliens for the first time. Jake stood at the command center, watching his crew work. These people had trained for 5 years for this moment. Lisa Thompson sat at the communications station, her fingers moving fast over the controls. She was the best at talking to new species that Earth had ever trained. Ryan Burke checked the weapon systems one more time, not because they wanted to fight, but because they needed to be ready for anything. Amy Rodriguez looked over her notes about alien cultures. Even though no human had ever met these aliens before, the ship was not very big compared to the military vessels back home, but it was the fastest and smartest ship humans had ever built. It carried 300 people, all chosen because they were the best at what they did. Some were scientists, some were diplomats, some were soldiers, and some were just good at fixing things when they broke. Jake had been chosen to lead this mission because he was calm under pressure. The people back on Earth needed someone who would not start a war by accident. He had a wife and 2 children back home, and he wanted to see them again. Starting a fight with aliens would not help with that goal. Lisa turned around in her chair and looked at Jake. Her face was serious. "Commander, we are getting signals from the alien ships. They want to talk." Jake felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his voice steady. "Put them through, Lisa. Let's see what they have to say." The main screen lit up with an image that made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing. The alien was tall and thin, with skin that looked like it was made of silver metal. Its eyes were large and completely black. When it spoke, the voice came through the ship's computers because the translation system was working to change the alien words into English. "Human vessel, you have entered the space of the Zephyrian Empire. State your purpose or be destroyed." Jake stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "I am Commander Jake Martinez of the human ship Starbound Legacy. We come in peace to meet your people and learn about your civilization." The alien's face did not show any emotion. "Humans are not known to us. Your species is not welcome here. Turn around and go back to where you came from." Amy Rodriguez moved closer to Jake and spoke quietly. "Commander, this is normal for first contact. They need to see that we are not a threat." Jake nodded and spoke to the alien again. "We understand that you do not know us. That is why we are here. Humans want to be friends with other species in the galaxy. We have traveled very far to meet you." The alien was quiet for a long moment. Then more aliens appeared on the screen. They were all different from each other. One looked like a giant insect with 4 arms. Another had blue skin and no hair. A third alien had what looked like feathers instead of skin. The first alien spoke again. "I am High Counselor Vex Thara of the Zephyrian Empire. We rule 12 different species in this part of the galaxy. We have been here for thousands of your Earth years. What makes you think your young species has anything to offer us?" Ryan Burke whispered to Jake. "Sir, their ships have weapons pointed at us. They could destroy us easily if they wanted to." Jake kept looking at the screen. He knew this moment would decide if humans would have friends among the stars, or if they would have to fight their way through space. "High Counselor, every species has something special to offer. Humans may be young, but we have learned many things in our short time." The alien with blue skin leaned forward. "What could you possibly know that we do not already know? We have traveled between stars since before your species learned to make fire." Lisa looked at her instruments and then at Jake. She held up her hand to show that the aliens had stopped pointing their weapons at the human ship. "That was a good sign." Amy spoke up. "Commander, maybe we should tell them about human culture and beliefs. Many alien species respect others who have deep spiritual lives." The feathered alien on the screen seemed interested. "Spiritual lives? You mean your species believes in things that cannot be seen or touched?" Jake saw an opportunity. "Yes, humans have many different beliefs about the meaning of life and what happens after death. These beliefs have helped us build a peaceful civilization." High Counselor Vex Thara made a sound that the translation system could not change into English. Your species is peaceful. That is hard to believe. Most young species are violent and want to fight. Danny Clark, who was the cultural officer, stepped forward. High Counselor, humans have learned that fighting only brings more fighting. We have found better ways to solve problems. The insect-like alien moved its forearms in what might have been surprise. Better ways? What ways are these? Jake looked around at his crew. Everyone was waiting to see what he would say next. This was the moment that would change everything for the human race. High Counselor, we would like to propose a cultural exchange. Your species can show us your greatest achievements in philosophy and spirituality. In return, we will share with you the beliefs and ideas that have made humans who we are today. The aliens on the screen talked among themselves in their own languages. The translation system could not understand what they were saying, but Jake could tell they were having a serious discussion. Finally, High Counselor Vexithera looked back at the humans. This is unusual. Most species that come here want to trade goods or ask for protection. You want to trade ideas. Ideas are more valuable than goods, Jake said. A good idea can change everything. The alien was quiet for another long moment. Very well, humans. We will allow your ship to come to our main station. But know this, if your ideas are not worthy, your species will be banned from this part of the galaxy forever. You will have one chance to prove that humans deserve to be here. The screen went dark. Jake looked around at his crew. Everyone was staring at him. Lisa spoke first. Commander, we did it. They are going to listen to us. Ryan shook his head. But if we fail, humans will never be able to come back here. Amy opened her notebook. Then we better make sure we do not fail. We need to choose our best ideas, the ones that show what makes humans special. Jake sat down in his command chair. In a few hours, they would dock with the alien station. Everything that happened next would decide the future of the human race among the stars. The alien station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. As the starbound Legacy flew closer, Jake Martinez could see that it was shaped like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights covered its surface like stars, and ships from many different worlds were docked at its edges. Lisa Thompson worked at her station, talking to the alien controllers who would guide their ship to a safe docking port. Commander, they are giving us a place to land. They say we should bring only 5 people for the cultural exchange. Jake looked around the bridge. He had to choose carefully. Lisa, you will come to translate. Amy, we need you to understand their cultures. Danny, you know the most about human beliefs. Ryan, I want you there in case we need protection. Ryan Burke checked his weapon one more time. Sir, they said no weapons are allowed on the station. I know, Jake said. But they did not say anything about not bringing our strongest fighter. The docking process took an hour. When the starbound Legacy was finally connected to the alien station, Jake and his team put on their best uniforms and walked through the connecting tunnel. The gravity felt strange and the air smelled different from the air on their ship. 2 aliens were waiting for them. One was the silver-skinned High Counselor Vexithera they had spoken to before. The other was a new alien with green skin and 6 eyes arranged around its head. Welcome to Central Station Omega, High Counselor Vexithera said. I am here with Trade Minister Colvex, who will help judge your species. Follow us to the Great Hall. The humans walked through corridors filled with aliens they had never imagined. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, others crawled on many legs, and some floated in the air. All of them stopped to stare at the human visitors. The Great Hall was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Jake could not see the top. Hundreds of aliens sat in rows of seats that went up the walls. At the center of the room was a stage with lights pointing down at it. High Counselor Vexithera led the humans to a small area with chairs. You will sit here and listen. When it is your turn, you will go to the stage and present your beliefs. Each species in our empire will show you their greatest spiritual achievements first. Danny Clark whispered to Jake, Commander, this is like a test. They want to see if human beliefs are as good as theirs. The first presentation began. A group of aliens that looked like living rocks came to the stage. Their leader spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding stone. We are the granite people of the world Petra. Our religion is the mathematics of the universe. We believe that all life, all death, all existence can be understood through numbers and equations. The aliens showed pictures of complex mathematical formulas on a large screen. When we solve the right equation, we understand the mind of the universe itself. Mathematics never lies, never changes, and never fails us. Many aliens in the audience made sounds of approval. Amy took notes and whispered to Jake, "They worship math like humans worship gods." The next group came to the stage. These aliens glowed with their own light and seemed to float rather than walk. Their speaker's voice was like music. "We are the light bearers from the star system Lumina. We worship the great energy that flows through all things. Every star, every planet, every living being is connected by invisible energy streams." Pictures appeared showing how energy moved between stars and planets. When we die, our energy joins the great flow. When we are born, we receive energy from those who came before us. Nothing is ever truly lost. More sounds of approval came from the audience. Jake noticed that each alien species seemed to respect the others even when their beliefs were completely different. The third presentation was the strangest yet. A group of insect-like aliens came forward, but they all moved at exactly the same time, as if they were one creature with many bodies. Their voices spoke together as one. "We are the hive mind of Colony World 7. We believe in the unity of all consciousness. Individual thoughts are weakness, shared thoughts are strength." The screen showed images of their world, where millions of these aliens work together without any confusion or conflict. When one of us learns something, all of us know it immediately. When one of us feels joy, all of us are happy. We have no loneliness, no arguments, no misunderstandings. Amy looked worried. "Commander, how can humans compete with beliefs like these? They have math, energy, and perfect unity. What do we have that is better?" Jake was wondering the same thing. The alien presentations continued for hours. One species worshipped time itself, believing that all moments in history existed at the same time. Another species believed that reality was just a dream being dreamed by a sleeping god. A third group thought that the universe was a giant living creature, and all life forms were its thoughts. Each presentation was more impressive than the last. The aliens had been thinking about these ideas for thousands of years. Their beliefs were complex, beautiful, and seemed to explain everything about existence. Finally, High Counselor Vexathera stood up. "Now it is time for the humans to present their beliefs. Show us what your young species has learned about the meaning of life." Jake felt his heart beating fast as he and his team walked to the stage. Hundreds of alien eyes were watching them. The lights were bright and hot. Danny Clark stepped forward first. "Thank you for letting us speak," Danny said. "Humans have many different beliefs about life and death and the meaning of existence. Some humans believe in one god, some believe in many gods, and some believe in no gods at all." A few aliens made sounds of confusion. The six-eyed trade minister, Kolvek, spoke up. "If your species cannot agree on basic beliefs, how can those beliefs be strong enough to build a civilization?" Danny looked back at Jake for help. This was not going well. The aliens expected humans to have one perfect belief system like theirs. Amy stepped forward. "Our different beliefs make us stronger, not weaker. When humans disagree about something, we talk about it and learn from each other. We have found wisdom in many different places." Danny nodded and continued. "Some humans follow the teachings of Buddha, who taught that suffering comes from wanting things we cannot have. Others follow the teachings of Muhammad, who taught that there is one God and we should help those who have less than we do." The alien audience was listening, but Jake could tell they were not impressed. These human beliefs sounded simple compared to the mathematical religions and energy worship they had just heard. Danny kept talking. "Some humans believe in many gods from ancient Greece and Rome. Others follow the teachings of Hindu sages who say that all life is connected. Jewish people follow laws given to them by their God thousands of years ago." High Counselor Vexathara interrupted. "These are all interesting, but they are not new ideas. Many species have similar beliefs. Is there nothing unique about human spirituality?" Jake saw Danny starting to look nervous. The cultural exchange was not going as planned. The aliens were waiting for something special, something that would prove humans deserved a place among the star-traveling species. That was when Patricia Wells, the mission historian who had stayed quiet until now, stepped forward. "There is one human belief that is different from all the others," she said. "It is the story of a man named Jesus." When Patricia Wells mentioned the name Jesus, something strange happened in the Great Hall. Many of the aliens leaned forward in their seats. The translation devices around the room made soft beeping sounds as they tried to understand the word. "Hi." Counselor Vexathara's silver face showed the first emotion Jake had seen from him. "This name is not in our language databases. Who is this Jesus?" Before Patricia could answer, a quiet voice came from behind the human group. "May I speak about him?" Everyone turned to look. Captain Kash Patel had been standing silently at the back of the human delegation. He was not supposed to be part of the cultural presentation, but something in his voice made everyone listen. Jake nodded. "Go ahead, Kash." Kash walked slowly to the center of the stage. He was not a tall man or a loud man. Most of the time, people barely noticed him. But when he started to speak, his words carried across the huge hall like they had their own power. "Jesus lived on Earth about 2,000 years ago," Kash said. "He was born in a small town to a poor family. He never wrote a book. He never led an army. He never ruled a country. When he died, he owned nothing except the clothes he was wearing." The alien audience was completely quiet. This did not sound like the beginning of an impressive religious story, Kash continued. But in his 33 years of life, Jesus changed everything about how humans think and act. Not through force or fear, but through love. "Trade Minister," Kolbeck spoke up. "Love? Many species understand love. We love our families, our communities, our worlds. This is not unique," Kash smiled sadly. "Jesus taught a different kind of love. He said humans should love their enemies." A sound like buzzing filled the hall as the translation devices struggled with this concept. Several aliens stood up in their seats looking confused. "Love enemies?" asked a crystal-like alien whose voice sounded like breaking glass. "This makes no sense. Enemies are threats. Threats must be destroyed." Kash shook his head. "Jesus said that when someone hurts you, you should forgive them. When someone hates you, you should be kind to them. When someone tries to destroy you, you should help them instead." The insect-like aliens who shared one mind spoke together. "This is impossible. No creature can act against its survival instincts." "That is exactly what made Jesus special," Kash said. "He did not just teach these ideas, he lived them." Kash walked to the front of the stage so all the aliens could see him clearly. Jesus spent his time with the people that everyone else hated. He ate dinner with criminals. He touched sick people that others were afraid to go near. He talked to women when his culture said women were not important. He blessed children when adults said children should stay quiet. Amy Rodriguez watched from her seat as the alien audience became more and more interested. Even the mathematical rock people were leaning forward to hear better. Kash's voice grew stronger. The religious leaders of his time hated Jesus because he said that being religious was not about following rules perfectly. He said it was about having a heart full of love for other people. "What happened to him?" asked the glowing light-bearer aliens. Kash was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. The people in power were afraid of Jesus. His message of love was too dangerous for them, so they decided to kill him. "He fought back?" asked one of the time-worshipping aliens. "No," Kash said. "When soldiers came to arrest him, one of his followers tried to fight. Jesus told him to stop. He said that those who live by violence will die by violence." The hall was so quiet that Jake could hear the humming of the station's machinery through the walls. Kash continued. "They nailed Jesus to a wooden cross and left him to die slowly. It was the most painful and shameful way to kill someone in that time." "And his followers? Did they try to save him?" asked High Counselor Vexathara. "Most of them ran away in fear," Kash said. "Only a few stayed to watch him die. But even as Jesus was dying in terrible pain, he did something that no one expected. The aliens waited. He forgave the people who were killing him. He looked up at the sky and said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." The translation devices started making error sounds. Several alien species were looking at each other with confusion. The concept of forgiving your murderers while they were murdering you was breaking their language systems. Lisa Thompson worked quickly at her portable translation unit, trying to help the aliens understand. But some ideas were too big for any machine to translate. Kash kept talking. But that was not the end of the story. 3 days after Jesus died, something impossible happened. He came back to life. Resurrection, whispered Amy. That is what Christians call it. His followers found his grave empty, Kash said. Then Jesus appeared to them, alive again. But he was not angry about being killed. He did not come back to punish anyone. He came back to prove that love is stronger than death. The blue-skinned alien who had questioned human peacefulness earlier stood up. This story, if it is true, this changes everything. Kash nodded. Jesus told his followers to go into all the world and share this message, not through conquest or force, but through love and service. He said that the greatest person is the one who serves others, not the one who rules over others. And humans believe this? Asked the feathered alien. Many did, Kash said, and those who truly understood Jesus' message began to change the world. They built hospitals to care for sick people, even sick people from enemy tribes. They built schools to teach children to read, even children whose parents could not pay. They built homes for people who had no families. Danny Clark stepped forward. Captain Patel, tell them about what this means for humanity today. Kash looked out at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. Because of Jesus, humans learned that our strength does not come from our weapons or our technology. It comes from our willingness to sacrifice ourselves for others, even for strangers, even for enemies. High Counselor Vexithara's voice was different now, softer than before. You are saying that your species' greatest teacher was someone who chose to die for people who hated him. Yes, Kash said simply. And that is why humans came here in peace instead of coming to conquer. Jesus taught us that every life has value, even alien life we have never seen before. The Great Hall erupted in sounds as aliens from 12 different species tried to discuss this concept in their own languages. The translation system gave up trying to convert everything and just let the noise fill the air. In the middle of the chaos, Communications Officer Karoline Leavitt, who had been watching from the side of the stage, felt something she had never felt before. Tears began running down her face as she realized what was happening. For the first time in galactic history, humans had shared something that no other species possessed. Not superior technology or military might, but the revolutionary idea that love could conquer hatred, that life could defeat death, and that the strongest person was the one willing to die for others. The universe had just met Jesus through the words of a quiet human captain, and nothing would ever be the same. The noise in the Great Hall grew louder and louder. Aliens were standing up, pointing at each other and making sounds that the translation machines could not understand. Jake Martinez had never seen so much confusion in one place. High Counselor Vexithara raised one of his silver hands. Slowly, the aliens became quiet again. But Jake could see that something had changed. The counselor's black eyes looked different now, less cold and more curious. Human Captain, Vexithara said to Kash Patel. This story you tell about Jesus, our machines cannot translate some of your words. What does it mean to forgive enemies? Kash thought for a moment. It means that when someone hurts you, you choose not to hurt them back. Instead, you try to help them become a better person. The crystal alien who sounded like breaking glass made a sharp noise. Our translation system says this word forgive does not exist in our language. How can we forgive if we have no word for it? Lisa Thompson looked at her portable translation unit. The screen was flashing with error messages. She whispered to Amy Rodriguez, "The machine is overheating. It cannot process these concepts." More aliens were standing up now. The blue-skinned alien who had questioned human beliefs earlier walked closer to the stage. Captain Patel, you said, Jesus came back from death. In our science, death is final. Nothing lives after it dies. That is what made it a miracle, Kash said. Jesus proved that love is more powerful than death itself. The insect-like hive-mind aliens buzzed together for several seconds. Then they spoke as one voice. We have shared consciousness for 10,000 years. We know every thought that has ever been thought by our species, but we have never thought a thought like this. How can love defeat death? Kash looked around the hall. Every alien was staring at him, waiting for an answer. Because when you love someone more than you love yourself, you become willing to die so they can live. And when someone dies for love, that love does not die with them. It spreads to other people. Trade Minister Colvex's 6 eyes were all focused on Kash. You are saying that Jesus died, but his love kept living? Yes, Kash said. And that love changed millions of humans. They started loving others the way Jesus loved them. The love grew stronger, not weaker. Danny Clark stepped forward. That is why humans came here in peace. Jesus taught us to love aliens we have never met, just like he loved humans who hated him. The mathematical rock people made grinding sounds as they talked among themselves. Their leader spoke in his stone-like voice. We have calculated the mathematics of the universe for thousands of years, but there is no equation for this kind of love. How do you measure love that grows stronger when the lover dies? You cannot measure it, Kash said simply. You can only experience it. The glowing light-bearer aliens floated closer to the stage. Their musical voice filled the hall. We understand energy that flows between all things. But this love energy you speak, it flows from dead to living. This breaks our understanding of energy flow. Amy Rodriguez was taking notes as fast as she could write. She whispered to Jake, Commander, they're trying to understand Jesus with their science and math, but it does not work. Suddenly, one of the translation machines made a loud popping sound and started smoking. Then another machine broke down. Then another. All around the Great Hall, the devices that helped different species understand each other were failing. High Counselor Vexithara looked worried. What is happening to our machines? Lisa Thompson checked her equipment. Sir, the translation systems are overloading. They cannot process concepts that do not exist in the alien languages. The feathered alien spoke up. Our language has 500 words for different types of hatred. But we have no word for loving those who hate us. The time-worshipping aliens made a sound like wind blowing. We believe all moments in time exist together, but we cannot understand a moment when someone chooses death to give life to enemies. Karoline Leavitt had been standing quietly at the side of the stage, listening to everything. She was the communications officer, and it was her job to stay calm and professional. But as she watched the aliens struggling to understand Jesus, something inside her began to break. She thought about her own life back on Earth. She had been angry at many people. Her father had left her family when she was young. Her first boyfriend had lied to her. Her best friend had stolen money from her. She had never forgiven any of them. But listening to Kash talk about Jesus forgiving the people who killed him, Karoline began to understand something she had never understood before. Forgiveness was not about letting bad people get away with bad things. Forgiveness was about freeing yourself from the poison of hatred. Tears started forming in her eyes. She tried to stop them, but they kept coming. The energy-worshipping aliens noticed her first. Human female, why does water come from your eyes? Karoline wiped her face, but more tears came. I am crying because I finally understand what Captain Patel is trying to tell you. Jake looked at Karoline with concern. Are you all right? Karoline shook her head. No, Commander. I am not all right, but for the first time in my life, I think I might be able to become all right. She walked onto the stage next to Kash. Her voice was shaky, but she spoke loud enough for all the aliens to hear. Captain Patel told you about Jesus forgiving his enemies, but he did not tell you the most important part. Jesus did not just forgive people who hurt him. He forgave people who did not even ask to be forgiven. The hall became completely silent. Even the broken translation machine stopped making noise. Karoline continued, tears still running down her face. Most humans think forgiveness only happens when someone says they are sorry. But Jesus forgave people who were still trying to hurt him. He forgave them while they were laughing at his pain. High Counselor Vexathera stood up from his seat. Why would anyone do this? Because, Karoline said, her voice growing stronger. Jesus knew that hatred only creates more hatred. But love, real love that forgives even enemies, that kind of love can change hearts that seem too hard to change. The blue-skinned alien walked even closer to the stage. Human female, your face leaks water, but your voice grows stronger. We do not understand this. Karoline laughed through her tears. I do not understand it either, but I feel it. For the first time, I feel what Jesus meant when he said to love your enemies. Kash put his hand on Karoline's shoulder. Tell them what this means for humanity. Karoline looked out at hundreds of alien faces, all waiting for her words. It means that humans do not just know about love that forgives enemies. We can teach it to others. We can teach it to you. The time-worshipping aliens made their wind sound again. You would teach us to love those who hate us. Yes, Karoline said, because that is what Jesus told humans to do. He said to go into all the world and teach this love to everyone, even to people who are not human. High Counselor Vexathera was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was different than it had been before. Human Karoline, if your species can truly teach this love that defeats hatred and death, then the Zephyrian Empire needs to learn from you. The Great Hall erupted in noise again, but this time it was not confusion. It was excitement. Aliens were talking rapidly in their own languages, and even though the translation machines were broken, Jake could tell they were all saying the same thing. They wanted to learn about Jesus. 3 days passed, but the aliens did not want the humans to leave. What was supposed to be a short cultural exchange had turned into the most important meeting in galactic history. Representatives from all 12 species in the Zephyrian Empire wanted to learn more about Jesus and his message of love. Jake Martinez sat in the station's main conference room with High Counselor Vexathera and the other alien leaders. The room had been redesigned to accommodate everyone. Translation machines had been rebuilt with new programming to handle concepts like forgiveness and sacrificial love. Commander Martinez, said Vexathera, his silver face showing what humans were learning to recognize as alien curiosity. Your Captain Patel's words about Jesus have created problems for us. Jake felt worried. What kind of problems? Trade. Minister Kulvex leaned forward with all 6 of his eyes focused on Jake. Good problems. Our people are asking questions we have never heard before. They want to know how to forgive enemies. They want to understand love that grows stronger through death. The crystal alien leader made her glass-breaking sound, which the new translation system now understood as laughter. My people have spent our entire history calculating revenge against those who hurt us. But now they ask, what if we calculated forgiveness instead? Danny Clark, who had been taking notes on everything, looked up from his writing. Are you saying your people want to change their ways? The insect-like hive mind buzzed together before speaking as one voice. We have shared the same thoughts for 10,000 years. But Captain Patel gave us a new thought. For the first time, ever, we are thinking about loving creatures outside our hive. Amy Rodriguez smiled. That is exactly what Jesus wanted. He said love should spread from person to person, from group to group, until it covers the whole universe. The blue-skinned alien who had questioned humans 3 days ago stood up. We have been testing this idea. Yesterday, the rock people from Petra had a trade dispute with my people. Normally, we would have fought until one side was destroyed. The mathematical rock people's leader made his grinding sound. But instead of fighting, we tried this forgiveness concept. We gave them what they wanted without asking for anything back. And what happened? Asked Ryan Burke. Something impossible, said the blue alien. They gave us even more than we originally wanted. They said our kindness made them want to be kind back. Karoline Leavitt, whose tears 3 days ago had helped convince the aliens that Jesus' message was real, wiped her eyes again. But this time she was crying from happiness. That is how Jesus' love works. When you give it away, you get more back. The feathered alien spread what looked like wings. We have contacted our homeworlds and told them about Jesus. Every species in the Empire wants to send representatives to learn from humans. High Counselor Vexithera stood up slowly. Commander Martinez, the Zephyrian Empire has ruled this part of the galaxy through strength and fear for thousands of years, but your species has shown us a better way. Jake felt his heart beating faster. What are you saying? We are saying that we want to form an alliance with humanity. Not because you have better weapons or faster ships, but because you have something more valuable than technology. The time-worshipping aliens made their wind sound. You have wisdom that can heal the wounds between species that have hated each other for centuries. Lisa Thompson looked up from her communication station. Commander, I am getting messages from Earth. They want to know what is happening out here. Jake smiled. Tell them that humanity just became partners with the most powerful empire in this part of the galaxy, and it happened because a quiet captain told aliens about Jesus. Kash Patel, who had started everything with his simple story, spoke for the first time in hours. It was not me. It was Jesus working through me. He said his followers would carry his message to the ends of the earth. I think that includes the ends of the galaxy, too. High Counselor Vexithara walked over to the humans. We want to propose something that has never happened before in galactic history. We want to create a new kind of alliance, not based on military power or trade agreements, but based on learning to love our enemies. What would that look like? Asked Amy. Trade Minister Kolvex activated a hologram that showed star maps. We propose that human and Zephyrian ships travel together to other parts of the galaxy. You will teach them about Jesus, and we will protect you from species that might try to harm you. The crystal alien leader made excited breaking sounds. Some species in the galaxy are very violent. They attack first and ask questions later. But if they see Zephyrian ships traveling with human ships, they will listen instead of fighting. Danny. Clark stood up. You want us to be missionaries to the stars? Missionaries? Asked the energy-worshipping aliens in their musical voice. Missionaries are people who travel to far places to share their religious beliefs, explained Danny. Usually they also help build schools and hospitals and take care of people who are sick or poor. The hive mind aliens buzzed excitedly. Yes, we want human missionaries to come to our worlds. Our people are already asking how they can help. Others the way Jesus helped others. Karoline Leavitt felt more tears coming, but she did not try to stop them this time. Do you understand what this means? Jesus' message of love is going to spread across the galaxy. Alien species that have never heard his name are going to learn about forgiveness and sacrifice and loving their enemies. Jake looked around the room at all the alien faces. 3 days ago, these same aliens had been ready to ban humanity from their space forever. Now they wanted to become partners in spreading the most important message in human history. High Counselor, we accept your alliance, but I need to ask Earth for permission to send more ships and more people. Vexithara's silver face showed what humans were learning was an alien smile. Commander, we have already sent messages to your Earth leaders. They are sending 50 ships with teachers, doctors, engineers, and others who can help spread Jesus's love through good works. Lisa Thompson looked at her communications panel. Commander, I have an incoming message from Earth Command. Admiral Sarah Johnson wants to speak with you. Jake activated the communication system. Admiral Johnson's face appeared on the screen, and she was smiling bigger than Jake had ever seen. Commander Martinez, do you realize what you have accomplished? You did not just make first contact with aliens. You started the first interstellar religious revival in history. Amy Rodriguez laughed. Admiral, Captain Patel did it. He just told them about Jesus. Well, Captain Patel is getting promoted, and all of you are getting medals. But more importantly, you are getting the chance to change the galaxy. The Admiral's expression became serious. The ships we are sending include pastors, priests, and other religious teachers who can help explain Jesus' message to different alien cultures. We are also sending doctors and engineers who can show Jesus' love through their actions. High Counselor Vexithara, leaned toward the screen. Admiral Johnson, the Zephyrian Empire promises to protect human missionaries and help them reach every species in the galaxy. And we promise to teach Jesus' love to any alien species that wants to learn, replied the Admiral. Jake looked around the room one more time. Aliens and humans were working together, planning how to spread a message of love across the stars. It was more than he had ever dreamed possible. Kash Patel walked over to Karoline Leavitt, who was still crying happy tears. Karoline, Jesus said his followers would be witnesses to the ends of the earth. I think we just expanded that to the ends of the universe. Karoline nodded, unable to speak through her tears of joy. Outside the station's windows, human and alien, ships were already beginning to form mixed fleets. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or military might, but a carpenter from Earth who taught the universe that love conquers everything, even death itself. The age of galactic evangelism had begun.